Someone once said, falling into water does not drown you, staying there does. Similarly, problems in life don't defeat us. It's our inability to deal with them that does. This is a story about a king, an impossible challenge, and how the power of a positive mindset changed everything. It's a story that beautifully captures the essence of how positivity and a change in perspective can turn even the most challenging situations into triumphs. So, hello and welcome to Way to Enlightenment. Let's dive into this powerful story and learn the important life lesson of positivity together. Once upon a time, in a prosperous kingdom, there lived a king who was loved by all his subjects. This king was not just any ordinary ruler. He was known for his kindness, bravery, and wisdom. His people admired him deeply, not only because he was fair and just, but because he faced life's challenges with a smile. He had only one eye and one leg. Despite his physical disabilities, the king never let his limitations define him. He ruled his kingdom with a heart full of gratitude, always focusing on what he could do rather than what he could not. In the king's eyes, every day was a blessing, and every problem was an opportunity to grow. He was often seen visiting the villages of his kingdom, interacting with his people, and listening to their needs. The king's optimism was infectious. It spread through the land like a warm breeze, making everyone feel hopeful, even in difficult times. One day, as the king was walking through the grand gallery of his palace, he admired the beautiful portraits of his ancestors that adorned the walls. The gallery was filled with paintings of noble kings, warriors, and leaders who had shaped the history of the kingdom. Each portrait told a story of courage, sacrifice, and triumph. The king gazed at these portraits with deep respect and thought to himself, "What a great legacy I have inherited. My forefathers were brave, strong, and wise. I am so blessed to be a part of this great lineage." But as the king moved along the gallery, his gaze fell upon an empty space on the wall. This space was reserved for his own portrait, which would be hung there after his death. The thought of death didn't scare the king. He knew that death was a natural part of life. But what worried him was how his painting would look among all those magnificent portraits. "How will my portrait look in this gallery?" the king wondered. "I have only one eye and one leg. My painting will surely stand out, but for all the wrong reasons. My ancestors were perfect, and their portraits reflect that. How will I be remembered?" The more he thought about it, the more anxious the king became. He didn't want his legacy to be one of pity or sorrow. He wanted to be remembered for who he truly was, a brave, compassionate king who never let his physical limitations hold him back. Determined to change this, the king made a bold decision. "Instead of waiting for my death," he said to himself, "I will commission my portrait now while I am still alive. That way, I could ensure it would be a masterpiece worthy of my legacy." The king's decision was announced throughout the kingdom. The greatest artists are invited to come and paint a portrait of the king. The artist who creates the most magnificent painting will be rewarded with gold, land, and the king's eternal gratitude. Artists from all over the kingdom and beyond flocked to the palace, eager for the chance to create a masterpiece and win the king's favor. The gallery was buzzing with excitement as the artists examined the space where the king's portrait would hang. But as they looked upon the king, their excitement quickly turned to hesitation. They saw a king with one eye and one leg, and doubts began to creep into their minds. "How can we paint a beautiful portrait of a king who is not whole?" they whispered among themselves. "How can we make a painting that will match the grandeur of the ones that hang here?" Fear of failure gripped the artists. They knew that the king was offering a great reward, but they also feared his disappointment. What if their painting didn't live up to his expectations? What if their work was seen as a mockery of the king's image? As days passed, no artist dared to take up the challenge. The fear of falling short overshadowed the reward. Just when it seemed that no one would step forward, a young and relatively unknown painter approached the king. He was not as famous or experienced as the other artists, but he carried something within him that the others lacked: a positive attitude and the courage to take on the impossible. "Your Majesty," the young painter said, bowing respectfully, "I would be honored to paint your portrait. Give me just 24 hours, and I promise to create something that will do justice to your legacy." The other artists were stunned. "This young boy must be crazy," they murmured. "He's taking on a task that even the most skilled among us have refused. What does he think he can do that we cannot?" But the king saw something special in the boy's eyes. It was not arrogance or recklessness. It was confidence and creativity. The king smiled and said, "Very well, young man. I trust you. Show me what you can create." The young painter nodded, full of determination. He spent the entire day working on the painting, pouring his heart and soul into every brushstroke. He thought deeply about the king, not just his appearance, but his spirit, his strength, and the positive energy he brought to his people. The next day, the palace was filled with anticipation. The entire court, along with the other artists and many citizens, gathered to witness the unveiling of the young painter's work. There was a buzz of curiosity and doubt in the air. What could this young, inexperienced artist possibly have created that would impress the king? As the young painter revealed his work, there was a moment of stunned silence. Then, the room erupted in applause, cheers, and even tears of joy. The painting was not just good, it was breathtaking. The king, who had been anxiously waiting, stepped forward to see his portrait. In the painting, the king was depicted as a noble warrior, riding a magnificent horse. He was shown in action, aiming his bow with one eye closed, a natural pose for any archer. The missing eye was cleverly concealed, appearing as if it was shut in focus. The king's missing leg was hidden by the position of the horse, making it appear as if the king was in motion, charging forward with power and grace. The painting captured not just the king's physical form, but his spirit. It showed him as a leader, a fighter, and a king who did not let his physical limitations define him. It was not a painting of a disabled king. It was a painting of a hero. The king was overwhelmed with emotion. "This is the most beautiful painting I have ever seen," he said, his voice filled with gratitude. "You have captured my essence in a way that I never thought possible. You have shown not my limitations, but my strength. You have made me feel proud of who I am." The young painter smiled humbly. "Your Majesty, I simply painted what I saw in you. Your courage, your kindness, and your unwavering spirit. This painting is not just about what you look like, it's about who you are." The king rewarded the young painter with gold, land, and a place of honor in the court. The boy's painting hung proudly in the gallery, admired by all who visited the palace. It became a symbol of the power of positivity, creativity, and the ability to see beyond what is visible. This story reminds us that our perspective shapes our reality. The king's portrait was not just a painting. It was a testament to how positivity can change the way we see ourselves and our circumstances. The young painter could have focused on the king's missing eye and leg, but instead, he chose to highlight his strengths, courage, and leadership. Just like the boy, we too can learn to look beyond our flaws and highlight our strengths. Positivity is not about ignoring the problems we face. It's about finding creative solutions and focusing on what we can do rather than what we cannot. Life will always present us with challenges, but our attitude determines how we handle them. When we approach problems with a positive mindset, we can turn even the most difficult situations into opportunities. The young painter could have seen an impossible task, but instead, he saw a chance to create something beautiful. Just like the king, we might all have things about ourselves or our circumstances that we wish were different. But when we accept those challenges with a positive spirit, we can achieve great success. The king's story teaches us that no matter what our flaws or limitations may be, we have the power to shape our legacy through our actions, our attitude, and our resilience. It's not about being perfect. It's about being the best version of ourselves, despite the imperfections. Remember, life's challenges are not meant to stop you. They're meant to strengthen you. Keep a positive attitude, and you'll see that even the toughest problems can become the most beautiful parts of your journey. If you enjoyed this story, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who might need a little boost of positivity today. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more inspiring stories and life lessons. Also, comment below and share how positivity has helped you overcome challenges in your life. We always come up with a new story just like this one to keep you inspired and motivated. Stay positive, stay strong, and keep shining. Let's spread positivity together. I will see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.